So we're just around the corner from Russell Square in WC1 to look at this fantastic building and its connection with this public house. This, or was, London Horse Hospital. Now, nowadays, if you are a Black Cabbie, you may have to go to 3 Colts Lane in Bethnal Green because that's where all of the MOT places are to deal with Black Cabbies. But if you was a cabbie from the late 1700s onwards, you had a horse. And if that horse became sick, it came here because this specialised in sick horses that worked for cabbies. That's why if you was to walk through that door just over there, you would see some specially preserved ramps so that the horses could walk up and down the levels without becoming stuck, because as we know, they're not a fan of stairs. So inside there are ramps with little stoppers on them to stop the horses slipping, and it's absolutely charming and a feature that you will see in many such environments that have been maintained. Today it's a hipsters paradise, as you can see. People are turning up from what sounds like all over the world to try a little pastry gaff called Fortitude, and this queue has just been never ending. But once it was a wholesome place just behind the hotel that would have been bustling with life, that was also custom to this pub here. Now I'm going to use this historical board here to make my life easier. So at the top here it says, "Friend at Hand was built in 1735 at the time of the Marylebone Road and adjoining Nash Terraces." Now, 1735. That's a few decades before the Horse Hospital. Now we do know that this pub was at one stage or previously called the Handsome Carriage. I don't know if it was named the Handsome Carriage because of its association with the Horse Hospital or anything that was going on beforehand, but it's too coincidental for them not to be involved somehow. Once again, we looked quickly to see if there was a name we could find before the Handsome Carriage and nothing seems to come up. So maybe the Handsome Carriage was actually associated due to its presence next to the Horse Hospital, maybe it wasn't. But like I said, I find it unlikely that it wasn't. Now this next part of our tale is a bit unusual for us to mention because we don't usually patronise ghost stories, especially since we're in London, because if we did, we'd be stopping every 30 to 60 seconds. But this one's a little bit special, especially because it includes the landlord, or a landlord of this pub. So, in 1836, the publican, one William Thornton, being ill in bed from overconsumption, it's a polite way of putting it, sent his barmaid to the cellar for liquor. You've been in bed for overconsumption a few times, haven't you, Dan? Now I think about it. When she returned, she found him dead with his throat cut. So this girl went downstairs, and by the time she got back upstairs, his throat was cut. So are we to believe her, or to believe that it was suicide? I'm not sure what to believe. At least that was her story. There you go, see? At least that was her story. Suicide was accepted by the coroner, but perhaps not by William, whose ghost still walks here from time to time. Now, I don't personally believe that William's ghost is here. Maybe you can come and fact check me and prove me wrong and touch down with William. But it's an interesting story to me because it's the case of murder and crime in association with this public house. So, ghost story aside, it's still an interesting story. So, what I want you to do before we do close up, because the pub's interior, it is charming, but it's not necessarily worth us going in and bothering people. But if we turn around, I want you to capture the back end of the Horse Hospital, because that is magnificent. And as I've said many times, just because you fill something up doesn't mean it isn't empty. That is a beautiful way to fill the space, and it's full of character. So in the same way that a beautiful countryside field might fill us with ideas and wonderment, this old, tattered looking, dusty building is equally as beautiful in its own way. And once again, let's hope that in the future someone has the bright idea of imitating buildings like this instead of patronising modernity in the fashion we have. Think for yourself.